Hello, friends and traders. Today we are going to talk about very quickly one of the static grids which seem to work well for ES market called Hawk. When we install this tool, rotational price Hawk, only thing you need to worry about is to put this number, which is a multiplier of 369. And the tool comes with a default value, and these values will blow away. We also have opportunities to look at these levels where which frequency might be interacting with us and the oscillations. We don't need to show you oscillations because once you put it, it's there. We're always do not get distracted by the oscillations. So once you put it on, I think if tomorrow is gonna go to 9,000, just put 9,000. So just multiple of some 369 will do. And when you drop the tool, and there it is. This is giving us very profound support and resistance swing points. One of the valuable insights which is not otherwise possible. So we do shift it after some time. So what do we do with this? It's pretty simple. Now this is your if you know the idea of permanent squares, NYSE permanent square of Gann, or you have a sudden exchange square, or you have your human squares, or you have CEO squares or company IPO date squares. Just like your date of birth and time of birth and place of birth doesn't change, this is working on similar principles. Alright, this is for this week. So what we can do with this is we can use some default tool here, Radical 9, Radical Calculator channel, I think, yes, or Radical 9. And if you put this tool in as well, it will tell you now a different kind of phenomena. This is, think about Bollinger Bands with has modified bands. I think it would be something else going on. It's an out of the box indicator for wave 59. So what is happening here is the market is opening here, goes up. Now you can see it is vibrating at these levels. So what I'm after is trading at these levels. And this is it. Support becomes resistance. So this grid is there. So it is reacting to this permanent chart grid. That's all we're looking at. Now we can always look at, is it going to go here? Is it gonna, what are the gaps here? Why we have gaps here? Now there are also numbers here. I think corresponding to these to get you started. Now remember, these are pretty big swings, right? So that is what it is designed to do. We normally use it for option trading. Text offset is telling us how far from the line you want to plot. So by putting a right offset, the numbers come close. So this is 6, this is 7, this is 9, this is 7, this is 7, and this is 8. So this is trying to find the numbers, I think. So these numbers may not really do much for you. This is more about a pure, hey, where is my static support resistance? And if it gets changed, we'll let you know. Now you have to understand that things start from 1 or a 0 depending on what you're doing, going back to the starting point. Then you're generating your squares and the grids of higher dimensions, and you're rotating at higher prices. So if you start the grid using I think I would say the proper square baseline square price, then these things give us some advantage. So it doesn't tell you that to the tick it will stop here, 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 and it will almost to the tick is stopped here. It went to this, right? So that is what this is designed to do. One can also use Wave 59's what we call this ellipsoids. Let's say I want to do 9 to 1, right? Major to 1, major 9, right? Or you can do something like this. All right. So we have 1 to 9 ratio of minor and major axis. What we can do is place this. Now, what should be the axis ratios? This is a very powerful tool actually, because market does rotate in this fashion. So what we have been discussing earlier in the videos, if you have seen them before, is that we can look into this curve fitting the axis, the center point, to seeing where market might be going. Now this is based on what I just put in there. So if I go and change the indicator, maybe I'll put 3 to 1, right? Something like that, or maybe I'll put it like so if you don't know your numbers, that's a big problem. Not knowing the numbers is a big problem. So let's give you some numbers, right? Just for sake of argument. Now I'm not giving you the right numbers, obviously, not in public, but you got the idea. So if you know your numbers, you know your ratios, you know the market vibration numbers, so this could be one of the things you can try. There's nothing stopping you to try this. So what you have to do is, look, if I'm looking for the market is curve, remember, market is not moving in straight 2D space, it is moving in a curve fashion. It's like planets don't move in circle around the sun in a heliocentric fashion. They move in elliptical path and they wobble. Alright. So you got the idea what's going on here, right? So ultimately, let's say you find your right ratios. If you know the ratios, you put it on, and now it makes sense. Okay, we will say once this market, I just went to 30-minute chart. We're not really interested in any time frame because the grid is starting and the swings are starting anyways, right? In terms of top is a top. It doesn't matter the top came in 1 minute or 30 minutes, it's still a top. Alright, so when you have this structure, and now remember you have to square the chart. So you need to understand how to square the chart properly, because the foundation of using geometry is that you must square the chart. How do you square the chart? You need to know the squaring numbers. If you know the numbers, you can square the chart. If you square the chart, you can adjust the geometry with the instrument squares and this ratios, and then everything aligns perfectly and nothing comes close to geometry actually. Alright, so now we have this idea is like, hey, maybe I'm curve fitting this axis first impulse and is coming down, but it's telling us if structure is placed properly with the right ratios, right square, if market is getting somewhere here, right, market could do something, right? So this is where you can say, hey, if market gets to this line, it'll be of interest to us. That is what this is designed, and you know this line's advance. So you're looking for anything else aligning with this or not. Let me reduce some data. Okay, I had too much data here, I just took it out. A lot of things running. Alright, so you got the idea, right? Okay. So if you know that, hey, this is time to turn, this is gonna give us the edge because it is adding Gans square phenomena, as I mentioned. So then we can move it. So you said, hey, this may be double top or double bottom coming, no worries. So what are you gonna do about it, right? So here it is. We need to find it somewhere to put it and confirm it. So if you're gonna confirm, and then you can also go straight down as well, right? Which is, you can also put a center here. I like to put center or edges from swing to swing. Once the chart is squared, once this is squared properly, I'm just giving you the concept, right? So if you have the right axis, this will hit, and we know this is the right placement. And then you know in advance the market is going, right? So that's the thing with the geometry, and once you do this, the A, B, and C, and then you know where D is, and on the D lies your price targets and your pricing hawk grid, you know you have an advantage. So market gets here, your stop loss is right there in the bands behind it. That's it. Alright, so let's work on this. Remember, chart is not squared. Just remember that. So it's quite an interesting research phenomenon you have to go through. Okay, so other thing what we do sometimes is we match. This is the first impulse, obviously, right? Market came here, first impulse came down. So I put my edges there. I'm expecting if the structure is going to work out, as I was saying earlier, it's going to work out here. So okay, so it worked out. So where is my stop loss? Well, now we also have this natural square support and resistance at the same spot, as we can see here. If I'm going to take a shot here, my stop loss is here. So the stop losses are pretty much defined by the width of the band at the level of interest. It could be 2 points, 3 points. So you know this is your risk reward ratios. Risking 1 to make 2. Otherwise you won't win this game long term. That's the whole story. Otherwise we go into a little bit longer cycle, longer trading, a different how the big players do it. Alright. Okay, so now we have same thing here, which is going. So okay, let's merge this axis. Where is market going? Well, same thing. It did not reach here, but you're saying it gets here, it will. Alright. And then what happens next? Well, we move it again. So okay, now let's do this bottom one. Again, the edges, A to B edges is showing us here where market is going, and we have a price there. and stop loss is here, right? So let's, now the bands are a little far away. That's okay. You need to look at your stop loss scenario. We're gonna hide. Okay, so market came here. This is your width of the band. 1 to 2. Easy. You're getting 1 to 2. Try to get 1 to 3 or maybe more. Alright, so this is how it works on this one. Now let's go and do. So again, this alone can give you all the information you need if you do it properly. We can do it on left side, right side. Who is stopping us to do on right side? But remember, we are trying to measure the axis, the cardinal crosses. Sorry. So trying to establish the balance point here through cardinal cross. So if I do this first impulse, if I do it like this, what do I see? It's the middle of nowhere. Okay, is there any other evidence I can do something different? Center is there. I put on the center. This is pointing us that market might reach here to reverse. And then you do some other investigations and say, okay, what this edge is. So I'm trying to put the 3 edges, and one is coming here, one is coming there, this one is coming there, right? So this is where I'll place it. Now I say, okay, this might be okay. Why? So it is a market dynamics. It is the market swings which we are intercepting and projecting based on the 3 axes. Now one thing is, I said very clearly, if you don't have the right axis, the shapes will not fit in. If you don't have the right squares, it will not fit in. Once you find these two phenomena, you can just, as you can see, you can predict all these highs and lows and highs and lows, just as we just did. So if you guys are into Wave 59, I think, or any other software, and try to get the squares. And what the squares really mean is this. Setting up the X and Y pixels properly. It can be 1 to 1. It can also do ratios. You can do ratios 0.1 by point something something something. So it's giving you the X and Y pixel level control of the drawing board. Think that way. So in the drawing board, we have X and Y pixels, and we're freezing it. So the charting paper is being constructed here, and like Gann did it by his hand. So when he knew he's gonna move every 2 days $1 up, or every 3 days he's gonna move 1 square up. So he's creating 1 by 3 squares, but it has to be done by the chart in the charting paper. So by having a squared boxes on the charting paper, you can start putting this at the bottom of the or center of the chart, and then the question is, when are you going to move? And this same concept comes into it was a similar concept people came with point and control charts. You control the ranges, and you can see who is in control. So what Gann was doing was, he was using geometrical shapes and counting, but now, even though he's counting like say 22 days, but how do you know these are real 22 days? Or what is he doing is, at times he's moving a price by 1-to-1 ratio or 2-to-1 ratio or 1-to-2 ratio. And if you do that differently, let's say for example every 2 days you put 1 bar going up or down. See, bar counting is not 1-to-1. You're counting 3 days into 1 bar. So you're moving at the frequency of 3. So the bar is only getting produced once in 3 days, but you're counting 3. So behind the scenes you're counting 9 days. So that is why people cannot figure out his charts and the countings, because for different instrument he was doing different counts, but he was showing on his charts, if you see, and there was a hint of what he's doing, but not the depth of understanding. So understanding you should be running on the frequency of 3 of the chart, like that means 3-day charts or 1-day charts. When you say daily, By default, it is 1 day chart. But how do you know 1 day chart is good? How about 2 day chart? How about 3 day chart? How about 4 day chart? So he will have 3 day charts and 6 day charts. We love 3 day charts and we love 6 day charts. And obviously we love 9 day charts. Because we are freezing the variables of time with the 369 frequency. Counting changes. So every 3 days 1 bar is produced. Which means if I'm counting 5 days, it's 15 days behind the scenes. If I have a 9 day chart, I'm counting 5 days, is 45 days behind the scenes. That is the trick I wanted to reveal. That I think you guys need to understand. And if you have 30,000 stocks, unless you know, and if you have methodology and the quant models which can decode this squaring for each instrument, which we have for 30,000 stocks and with 8 dimensions, so we know which dimension to use. Once you have those numbers, everything works in terms of time and price, and combination of those numbers work, and then you adjust one of the variables. If you have 3 moving parts, right? Time, price, and direction. So what do? We freeze one with the right frequency. Everything else gets exposed. One becomes constant, rest becomes exposed. This is how you solve your linear equations, right? Anyway, so you got the idea. So what we are doing here, we are trying to freeze one thing here. Now, here's nothing is frozen. I just gave you the concepts. You square the chart, and then find the right squaring for the chart, and then you find the right ratio of this guy, and then rest what I expressed is correct. And this is the layover on this. Now you can see. So asking the question, will it stop here, will it stop there, or it will stop here? Now the question has been addressed by this methodology, right? With this structural methodology. Alright, that's how it is, I guess. Now if you see a bigger swing like market, we'd also understand that when market is going sideways like this, either it's going to go here or it could be midpoint. So sideways are always think about a flag pattern which you guys have been taught about, right? This could be a center point of balance. If this is center, you double it up, it's going to go there, isn't it? But the market doesn't move in straight linear fashion. Market is non-linear. The moment you start thinking the market is going to work through linear equations, regression equations, you will have an issue with that, right? So you do 50,000 simulations and you average it out, because you're trying to generate 50,000 random movements, step prices, and you using Monte Carlo simulations, and then you average the price, come with some guesstimated prices projected forward. It's like think about the generating 50,000 moving averages, forecasting it using non-linear equations, and then you are averaging and finding, okay, maybe this is going to happen, right? But we are trying to get to a different level of understanding. I don't know what happened to my, okay, there it is. So the point I was trying to make was, as we conclude this, so there's 3 edges. Remember, when the last edge is moving, when market is going and it is moving up from this, if this is the last edge, when this is happening, you can put it here. You can see here it's projecting here. So everything on this whole swing, you can do this for years. We have a bunch of videos, you can watch it if you can find it on 369 Forecast YouTube channel, and you can see market curves. But if you have the software, this is, I think, good use of it. And if you are a good programmer, you can freeze X and Y axis in a charting simulation, and then you can write code actually, right? Because this is also mathematical equations. So everything you see is mathematics. Charting is mathematics. Ratios are mathematics. This is mathematics. And you should be able to write a program to scan all 30,000 stocks to show you and curve fit this data mathematically and see where the end points are, my friends. So you can start your business. And I wanted to thank you and wish you well for your freedom. Thank you so much.